am so excited to do this interview today. Today we have Takia Tiki Hopson on with us from Tina, the Tina Turner musical, and I'm just excited to have you here. First and foremost, just tell us a little bit, Tiki, about what you do in the show, what your role in the show is, your track, and then we'll just jump in from there.
Yes. Okay. So I am an ICAT. I'm ICAT number 3 in the musical. So I am very heavily in the first act of the show when they're establishing, Tina's start, where she came from. And my track it varies a little bit because I do a lot of ICAT things, but I'm also a part of, her history, her ancestors back in Nutbush, her church upbringing and all of that. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of ICAT things, but also her career after ICAT, post Ike and all that stuff when she's in Vegas dancing and singing. So my track is pretty wild. There's a lot of dancing, a lot of
Yeah, it's
singing.
like I want to like
Involved in
see like a picture of all your costumes like aligned. I'm sure you have so many.
I
Today,
have like 6 different wigs.
yeah, right. This is what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
amazing to me. So
Yeah.
we're doing this interview for the Teens Behind the Scenes program here with the National Theater Foundation, and I just wanted to always, have us start off first and just talk to us a little bit about Tiki in high school. So if you had to describe Tiki in high school, was it always your dream to be in a Broadway national tour? Was that the goal? Did you even see yourself here? So who was Tiki in high school?
Oh my gosh, Tiki in high school was like a brainiac. She was
Yes,
really into her
yeah.
books. She was making those A's, but she had been dancing since she was 2 and that was her true passion. Like so in high school I was all about dance. In middle school, I was doing like cheerleading and stuff. Once I got to high school, it was just like dance. That's what I want to do. And actually, it was my freshman year of high school. I was starting my freshman year in high school when I booked my very first professional dance job.
Wow.
And oddly enough, it was here in DC. I performed here in DC. I'm
Cool.
from Atlanta, Georgia. So we
Mhm.
traveled from Atlanta to DC, and it was for the unveiling of the Martin Luther King monument that's here. That
Oh,
was my very first paid
beautiful.
performance. I was 14 years old, and that's when I was like, ooh, I can do this professionally. Like I can
Yeah.
dance, and that can be my career. So yeah, high school Tiki was a brainiac who just really, really loved to dance. I don't know if I saw myself in a Broadway
Hmm.
national tour just because I was so involved in like heavy dance training.
Yeah.
Theater wasn't even really on my radar as much. It was like I thought I was going to be in somebody's like modern company or
Yeah.
something, but like no, I'm of course Broadway is always like, ooh, yep, I want to be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Never thought I would though. So really, really
Wow.
grateful.
Wow. That in the styles of dance, I'm assuming what were your like main focus, when you were in high school?
Yeah, I was mainly training in ballet,
Wow.
jazz, contemporary tap, those styles. I was doing some hip hop. I was doing competitive dance, so it was
Yeah.
like a wide variety of different styles. So yeah, actually, when I was 5 years old, is the first time I had a competition dance, and my very first competition dance was a Tina Turner song. It was "Full in Love,"
Yes.
Tina Turner.
Full circle.
So I booked this job. I was like, 5-year-old Tiki is screaming right now because she was obsessed with Tina Turner back then, and now she's an ICAT. So,
Oh, I love that. I love that. And now going into college, from what I've researched, you went to Southern Methodist University, right?
yes,
And what did you study there?
yes,
Did you go for dance or was it something totally different?
yes. I studied dance performance. I majored in dance performance, and I also majored in journalism. So I was a double major at Southern
Yeah.
Methodist University.
Wow, very,
Yeah.
very cool. And it's interesting because our students are, either in grade school. Some of them are even toward the end of grade school, right? In that 11th and 12th grade year where they're starting to think about, what do they want to do? And it's really cool to be able to see and just learn about everybody's tracks, especially when it comes to people who are doing national Broadway tours or doing just shows and professionally, you're kind of like, well, what can I major in? So it's really cool to see that combine dance performance and journalism, which I'm sure you probably
Oh
find
yeah,
helpful in situations like this, where you're
of
doing
course,
interviews
of
on
course. Yes,
television.
I was conducting interviews in college. I was doing this type of work. I was reporting and all of that stuff. I thought when I was in college, I was like, okay, I'm going to be in someone's company when I graduate, or I'm going to be reporting for this news organization. And here I am now. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's like you can major in what you feel in that moment, but there's a plan for your life already set in place, and here I am.
Yes, come through plan. Yes, exactly. I mean, I think it's really exciting. I'm assuming it's really exciting because I saw this is your first Broadway national tour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is my first real like big theater production show. Like
After college,
I
right?
was always yeah, I mean, I didn't even really do theater production. Like I was never acting or singing on stage. I was only ever dancing. This is the first time I'm singing and acting on stage. And dancing, there's a lot of dancing in the show, and I feel like that's really was my like yes dance. But now
Yeah.
I'm having to go through the process of learning theater by being in a big theater production such as Tina the musical.
Wow.
So
Which I'm sure is, do you find that the ensemble in and of itself, the cast, like you just absorbing everything around you, all the different performers. I mean, there's
yes.
so many different characters, I'm sure, for you to study. I mean, you're playing so many different characters on your own. Is that what you're finding, where you just absorb so many different things about the industry there?
Oh, yes. I am learning from every single thing that happens on this tour. I'm learning from everyone, every single person in the cast. And I mean, every single person, including the kids. We have kids in this cast. And I
Yeah.
am learning from everybody. Every single moment that I've had in part of being with this tour and with this cast has been a learning moment. I've learned so many lessons. I'm learning how to do this
Yeah.
while I'm doing it. It's really a special thing. So,
Yeah. And that's amazing. I think, Tiki, the question that everyone wants to know now is about getting into this show. I mean, this show is, from what I know about the show, it's phenomenal. Like it's phenomenal. It's a journey, and it's phenomenal. And I can only imagine what it was like to audition and the process. So, in whatever time you can give us, what was that process like? Can you take us from just like what was the very first time, right? Like I am here
yeah.
and I want to be in this show. And then kind of like, what did that look like to you're going to be cast?
Yeah. Yeah. So the very first thing that I had to do was submit a video. And honestly, I can thank one of my friends, like, hey, look, Playbill is saying they're taking video submissions for Tina, the national tour. And I was like, okay, like, I'll do it. A lot of times you can send out those videos and just never hear anything
Yeah.
back. And I had sent out a couple of videos for different tours and shows. And so I sent out the video. I just recorded it like in my garage at home,
Yeah. Oh
sent it
my God,
off and was like,
inspiring me.
okay. I was like, all right, fingers crossed, cool. And it was maybe a couple weeks later that I got a call or an email about a callback. And I was like, okay, they want me in New York on Monday. Let's do it. Okay. Flew up there, had my first callback. I was so nervous. This has been my biggest job yet. Yeah. So I'm in New York, from cool, laid back Georgia with all of these people who like live in New York and in the area and are used to
Yeah.
auditioning and know each other. Like people were coming in the audition, like, hey, like,
Yeah.
hey. And I'm sitting
Yeah.
there like twiddling my thumbs, like, ooh, I'm nervous. And it was just a dance call, which for me was like,
Life,
yes,
we're
dance.
living. Yes.
Yes, it was a dance call. So I went in there, did my thing. And I was actually headed back, I was at the airport headed back home when I got an email about sending in a self-tape
Mhm.
from that audition. Sent in the self-tape that it was due like, a few days later. Sent
Yeah.
that in, had to sing and read some lines. And then I got another email at the end of the week. Hey, we need you in New York again. Let's do another callback.
Wow.
Another callback happened. That
Wait,
was
that's
cool. That
another
was fun.
flight. Is that another flight?
Another flight.
Okay.
Another flight from Atlanta to New York, call back.
Okay. All
Did
right.
that
I'm with
call
you.
did that call back, flew back home. I had like spring break the next week. So all my kids, I was teaching in Atlanta at the time, all my kids and the company I was dancing with were all off. So I was like, ooh, we're gonna take a trip to Texas. I haven't been since I was in college. So I
Yeah.
took a trip to Texas and I was in Texas when I got the new a call back again. And I
Wow.
had to
Round
be
three.
round three. Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, it was before I went to Texas. I got the call back and I had to, kind of push back that trip a little bit so I could go to
Yeah.
New York and then go on my trip. And I was at home kind of maybe a couple weeks later and I got a phone call and the area code said New York City. I was like, ooh, let me just let me just answer that real quick. And it was one of the gentlemen who was in the audition letting me know that they would love to offer me a role as an Ikette in the Tina Turner National Musical. I was ecstatic. Like, whew, all I was thinking about was 5-year-old me, like dancing to Fool in Love, rolling her shoulders. Like, wow, here I am getting to do something big like this Broadway, like a
Yeah.
Broadway musical,
Yeah.
and travel with this cast. And they were like, we start July 25th. It was like end of May when I got this phone call, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like it was amazing, amazing, amazing. Yes, I
Oh,
didn't know when I at my last audition with them, it was bigger than just a dance call. It was I had to read lines, I had to sing, and I was in front of more people this time. There was like a
yeah.
camera filming me, and the director was there, the music director was there, and so I was really, really like my heart was like about to beat out of my chest. Like I was so nervous,
Yeah.
so nervous. And when I came out of the audition, I was like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
was like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I did my best. And lo and behold, I got that phone call a
Wow.
couple weeks later, and here we are.
So is that like about a month? Would you say?
Um, the very first when I sent the video submission in, that was probably in the beginning of March.
Wow.
And I found out that I got the part maybe mid May, late April, maybe early
Wow.
May.
Hey,
But yeah,
patience is a virtue, right? That's
patience is a
amazing.
virtue.
Yeah. And I
Patience
love
and
your,
sacrifice.
yeah, I mean, Tiki, your story is really inspiring. That's why I was like, oh my God, you're inspiring me because you just like took a shot.
I took just leapt into it.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
honestly, it's like I still feel like I'm doing that. I like
Yeah.
booked this job and it's like, boom, hit the ground running. You've never done theater before, but you're doing it now. You've never
Yeah.
sang on
You're in it.
stage. You're doing it now. When we go to Atlanta in which is where I'm from in
Yeah.
February, it'll be
Yeah.
like my family's first time hearing me sing on
Uh,
stage because I was just dancing my life away. Boom, boom, boom.
yeah.
And here we are.
That is so beautiful. I'm like, I want to be sitting next to your family when they see you for the first time. They're probably all going to cry. Everybody's going to cry. You know, and
I'm
when,
probably gonna cry.
yeah, right. I mean, rightfully so. Like
Yeah.
it's such a big accomplishment. And I think, getting into the show, working on the show, learning while you're in the show, do you have, well, the tour kind of just started, right? A couple months maybe.
Yeah.
So
We're in our third city.
yeah, exactly. So have you started to kind of develop like a, pre-show ritual of like what you do before the show? There's so many things we've seen, people do warm-ups, people will stretch. Some people, like just breathe, or they have their favorite snack or whatever it is. Are you starting to see
Yeah.
any of those cool things pop up for you to just prep and like really get yourself grounded before the show begins?
Yeah. So we our cast is really great. We bond very well. Everyone is friends. We have a good time together. So when I'm in my dressing room, like it's time for me to kind of just relax and be comfortable around my cast.
Yeah.
I have a vocal mist that I do, which is basically like a nebulizer that helps soothe
Mhm.
all of this before I go out and sing. I use that. We play like nice soothing music.
Yeah.
We have our diffuser going, so we got good smells going. I'm definitely doing
Yes.
my lip trills and my a little lemony fresh over here, lavender over there.
Love
I'm
it.
doing my lip trills, my warm ups. I'm definitely stretching, rolling out my shoulders, getting the hips ready. I'm
Yeah.
using the Theragun to make sure there's no knots
Yeah.
anywhere, getting that massage gun going. Yeah, and we also, a lot of us do like a quick prayer before we
Yeah.
go on, just so we have good spirits and good vibes with us on stage. So yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of have a routine going, and it's a collective routine. Like we do things by ourselves individually, but we also make sure that together we feel good energy within the cast before we go on.
Yeah. And it's really lovely to hear, how close the cast is, especially going through the journey that Tina has to go through, so it's really
Oh
lovely
yeah.
to hear that it's a safe space and it's also a communal space, right? And it's artists who are like committing together and being like, okay, we're gonna go tell this story, and then we're gonna have
Right.
fun with each other after,
Yeah,
that's
we got a
really
little movie night here.
yeah, exactly. Like that's really cool to hear. And I think, like you said, what just jumped out to me was the Theragun, which is that it has like a little massage ball on the end, right? And then you press the button and it's like
Yes.
right. And it makes me
Hmm.
think about that because
Yes.
this show is no joke when it comes to
No, it's not.
there is literally a stage direction, which I'm sure you know, in the very beginning of the show that talks about um Tina when she's small in Nutbutch and like how her feet, it says Katori writes, her feet move like as quick as a hummingbird, right? Like how fast, like
Oh,
catching the spirit and that. And I'm like, I feel like that is the energy, Tiki, for the whole show. I feel like all of you
yes.
are running. Like that's what it feels like.
Yes. We are pounding those feet into the ground and we have on these heels, so it's really, really important to take care of your body while you're
Yeah,
doing these shows. So we're doing 8 shows a week. So we're doing
yeah,
all of that 8 times a week. And we definitely, I like, that's why I keep the Theragun on me. The Theragun is always in my duffel bag. It's always at the theater with me. I have
yeah.
to, do it after the show as well. Pre-show stuff is great, but after the show too, I have to make sure I stretch, I warm down or cool down and make sure that, my muscles are feeling good because the show is, and then we end with, a great big encore basically at the end
Yeah.
where we're just doing a lot more dancing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are definitely moving, moving, moving during this show.
Wow. I mean, I have to know, like, I mean, it's cool because you're, first love is dance, So I mean, like, how did you even memorize this choreography? Like, how do you take this in? Is there, because I know we have some students who have done dance calls before, or students who just love dance in general. We might be looking at our favorite TikTok video and we just want to remember what we need to do. Like, how are you
Right.
memorizing
Right.
all of this choreo?
Yeah, so for me, it's because I've been dancing for so long,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it clicks in my head just because that's the thing I focused on the most. But it only clicks in my head. And I was teaching before I was doing this. So I always tell my
Yeah.
students, it clicks in my head because I've practiced so much. Just
Mm,
like with anything, when you want to get better at it, you just have to do it. Like repetition is key.
yeah.
You have to do it so much. So if you want to get better at picking up choreography, take a few dance classes every week. Make it a routine so that your brain is always being challenged to pick
Yeah.
something up quickly. The same way you would in school when you want to get better at equations or, different formulas, you just have to keep doing it so that your brain, which is a muscle too, just learns how to do it and you create that muscle memory. Right now it's for me complete muscle memory. Like I go out there and my body does it naturally because I'm always doing it. When you
Yeah.
repeat something so much, like your muscles just remember to do it. And that's why you have to, when you're learning things, pay attention to close details because you want to learn it incorrectly and
Yeah.
be, naturally doing it incorrectly. You want to pay attention to your details, pay attention to specifics so that the general picture can be brought together with much more ease and you'll pick up that muscle memory and you'll be good to go. So I don't
Yeah.
even have to think about it anymore. It's like since dance was like my thing, especially,
Yeah.
I tend to focus a little bit more on like vocals and
Mm,
what are my lines because that's not what I did as much. So I'm
yeah.
spending a lot of time now trying to develop the vocal strength and the vocal muscle memory, so that I can get it to the same level, have it be on the same level as my dancing.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing too. And I
yeah.
mean, it's I think what's really great in hearing you say is like, you have to do it over and over again. And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that you as a company still rehearse the show throughout the tour of the
Oh
show.
yeah.
It's not that like rehearsals just stop and that you're just like, okay, now just do the show and then that's it. You all still get like, you still have rehearsals to remember and to refresh and to refine, right?
Yes. So we maybe a little over a month of rehearsals in New York before we went on the road.
Right.
And right now, pretty much every day that we have a show, there are understudy rehearsals underway. So
Oh,
the people who
wow.
study
Okay.
roles, the swings who are a part of the show,
Yeah.
they rehearse every single day. And we have certain called rehearsals periodically throughout the
Yeah.
tour. So yes, we do rehearse, throughout the tour. But most days we arrive and we're ready to go. And we usually there might be a rehearsal called if we have like something crazy going on. Like actually yesterday we didn't have a rehearsal called and we had lots of swings on the stage, which is
Yeah.
another thing with theater, live theater. It's
Yeah.
like you have the show must go on and
Yeah.
you have to know how to adapt whether or not you had the rehearsal to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta people came to see the show and we're giving them a show. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's I think just really insightful for our students in regards to process and creative process, right? There's a refining of it too, right? There's a cleaning of it. And then also just being ready. Like everyone seems to be ready, the understudies seem to be ready,
Oh
the
yes.
are ready, everyone in the show is ready every day,
All the
it's
time.
so
All the
much
time.
like, get ready so you can stay ready kind of thing.
Yes. So
um,
inspired by the swings because they stay ready. Like they're ready to go
yeah,
on for whichever track.
cool.
And we
Yeah,
had we had actually last night all female swings were on stage.
wow.
So like yes, and the show went on. So
Yes.
I'm inspired. Like I said, I'm absorbing everything. I'm learning from everybody around me, and I'm
Yeah,
like, this is show business. This is professional show business.
I love that. This is show business. And I
Show
think
biz.
you're telling the story almost every day. And for me, when I think about Tina and I think about the story that you all are telling in the show, I feel like I'm sure you all have had a number of conversations about the show itself, about Tina Turner. And I'm just curious about, has it developed for you where, what does it mean for you to be a part of this story? You get to tell it. You get to be a part of telling many, many cities, in the country about Tina Turner and who Tina Turner has become to be. So I'm just curious, does this show mean, what does it mean for you to be a part of it?
Oh, for me, it means everything. I told you I was 5 years old dancing to Tina Turner, and
Yeah.
I thought I was Tina Turner, and I just loved everything about her from a very young age. And to be a part of telling this story, especially because Tina Turner herself had a hand in telling this story and bringing the musical to life, is something that she
Yeah.
wanted
Yeah.
to be told her story, and it's a real story. We talk about real things,
Mhm.
deep things, domestic abuse, violence in the home, racism. And so it, for me, is just everything to be a part of telling the story because I knew the story,
Yeah.
but there are things about the story that I also did not know until I
Yeah.
started doing this show. And so to be trusted as an individual and as a cast to be able to bring her story to life and to tell it and to really change people's lives in the audience and give them a perspective and really showcase who she was as a person and how
Yeah.
she overcame and how she became who she is, from her small town in Nutbush as Anime Bullock to Tina Turner, who she is now. It's a blessing, and I'm really grateful. And I feel like the cast is doing a very, very good job of, paying homage to such an icon. So
Yeah, I wrote a dramaturgical essay for the Teens Behind the Scenes study guide, and in the beginning of the essay, I wrote, as a young girl with African American parents who grew up in the 1960s and 70s, I knew who Tina Turner was. And
right.
we talked the same way about like doing the choreo and being like, I know how to do rolling, but but I didn't know the entire story. And so it was really just an honor for me to experience the show, because experiencing the show, I, especially on through its script and reading the beautiful way that Katori like, narrates this, the book of this musical is amazing. It's just, you get to know the person, right? You get to know more than the gold outfit and the fast feet and the raspy voice. You get to know who the heart of the woman. And I think,
human being.
yeah, and you all are her heartbeat on the stage. I mean, that is what it is, to the utmost. And so it's just an honor, I think, Tiki, to have you and to hear and to be able to just experience and get a little bit of a peek behind the scenes about, what it's like to be in the show. But before we close the interview, I do love to ask our final question, which is, going back full circle to high school Tiki, who is okay about the books, like you said, right? And also dancing and just, not even knowing where she's going to be in 2022, right? What would you, if you had any advice to high school Tiki, what would that be? Knowing that you're going to end up here, what would you tell her?
Oh, I would tell high school Tiki to embrace and learn everything, be open to everything. Don't don't put yourself in a box, just because of what you think you can do. I've learned that I can do so much more than what I ever thought that I could do just in the past like 2 months of being a part of this cast and being a part of this musical. So, don't box yourself in, don't limit yourself. Explore all things, explore all avenues, get in those voice lessons, because we're singing, we're dancing. We are dancing, but we are singing. And this is my first time singing, and I'm singing soprano this whole show. So
okay.
get into those, get into those voice lessons, getting to those acting lessons, because like when you have exposure to multiple things, it just opens up so many different pathways for you, and so many different opportunities and blessings will come your way when you just expose yourself to as much as possible. Like, of course, you can have your passions, like my true passion is dance, it's there. Yeah. But when you open yourself up to way more different things, you open yourself up to a lot of different opportunities. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity right now. Like, this has been, one of the best things in my life that I've done. I'm just so happy to be here. I'm just really, really grateful.
Well, I mean, I think that's fantastic. The idea of just never stop learning,
Yeah.
artistically keep growing, don't box
Mhm.
yourself in. I mean, there's a lot of gems, everybody. So take all these Tiki gems, okay, because they're important. But I am just so honored, Tiki, to have been able to meet you through our interview today. And we are so excited to be able to see you all in action, on this Saturday during the matinee. We will be cheering as loud as we can at the end of the show for you all. But thank you so much for your time, just for spending time with me. Everybody, we are excited and hope we all, have you all go to see Tina, the Tina Turner musical at the National. And this is Leayne Dempsey, the dramaturg, one of the dramaturgs for Team Behind the Scenes here at the National Foundation. All right, over and we're out.